Donald Trump has a sit-down interview all the way back in 1980 and completely predicts what his plan for America will be to a T. You guys have got to check out what he says.
We'll understand that in order to make progress, you have to do things which aren't necessarily going to make you the most popular boy on the block. And that's what we did. In that case, we had a decision to make, and we had to make a decision.
Is that something you learned all by yourself, or was it instilled in you by your father or your grandparents or anyone?
I think maybe it's something that was instilled, and maybe it's something that you've learned through a little bit of trial and error over the years. I think this country maybe is a good example. I just don't feel the country is going forward in the proper direction. We could have made quick decisions, and we would have been a lot better off than the way we've been sitting around over the last couple of years and just watching everybody else do everything, and we just sit back and take everybody's abuse. It's a very sad situation that somebody isn't there making the decisions and pushing the right and proper, I don't want to use the word buttons, frankly, but pushing the right levers so that we can go out and do things as we're supposed to be doing them.
You are a mover, you are a doer. If you could make America perfect, how would you do it?
Well, I think that America is a country that has tremendous, tremendous potential. I think that much like the mind, I think that America is using very, very little of its potential. I feel that this country with the proper leadership can go on to become what it once was. And I hope, and certainly hope, that it does go on to be what it should be.
What should it be?
Well, it should really be a country that gets the respect of other countries.
Is respect the most important thing in your opinion?
Well, respect can lead to other things. When you get the respect of the other countries, then the other countries tend to do a little bit as you do, and you can create the right attitudes. The Iranian situation is a case in point. That they hold our hostages is just absolutely and totally ridiculous. That this country sits back and allows a country such as Iran to hold our hostages, to my way of thinking, is a horror. And I don't think they'd do it with other countries. I honestly don't think they'd do it with other countries.
Obviously, you're advocating that we should have gone in there with troops, etc., and brought our boys out.
I absolutely feel that, yes. I don't think there's any question, and there's no question in my mind. I think right now would be an oil-rich nation, and I believe that we should have done it, and I'm very disappointed that we didn't do it, and I don't think anybody would have held us in abeyance. I don't think anybody would have been angry with us, and we had every right to do it at the time. I think we've lost the opportunity.
Donald, would you have wanted to be one of those men to have gone to Iran, and taken those fellows out?
No, I wouldn't have wanted to be, but I would have done it.
Would you?
Absolutely. If I were the age, if I were in the military.
There were a lot of those fellas who went for that aborted coup, who were 34 years old and older. They were your age.
That's right.
If you were called upon, would you? I know it's easy to say, yes, of course I would go. But if the phone rang right now and someone from the Selective Service had said, Donald, we're taking every young man 34 years of age, we're sending him to war, would you go to war?
No, I don't see a war. You see, the war this is not a Vietnam situation, fortunately. The war, in fact, with Iraq.
There is a war waging there right now.
Oh, yes, there is a war, and it's a war where nobody has any tanks, has any guns. It's a war where everyone's standing around. That would have been the easiest victory we would have ever won, in my opinion.
When I look at television, I see men being shot up, legs being blown off.
You're talking about two non-existent armies. I mean, Iran has an army composed of American equipment without parts and without anything else, and Iraq has a very weak army, and they're just really fighting each other. I mean, it's almost hand-to-hand combat. If you see now, they've run out. It's a sad situation, Rona, but it's a situation which ultimately is going to get much worse. That little sparkle of war, that little sparkle is going to lead, in my opinion, to a much, much greater conflict, and I think that's very unfortunate. And I think a lot of it has to do with this country and the fact that this country is not more involved in terms of setting policy in that area.
Do you think perhaps that the oil industry is responsible for this, as the late Shah once implied?
Well, I wouldn't want to criticize the oil industry because I wouldn't know enough about it, but I can tell you that I think this country is responsible for that war by its own weaknesses. I don't think you'd have this war if they, again using the other word, if we were respected, properly respected as a country and as a people and as a nation. I don't think that you would have the war going on right now between Iran and Iraq. I don't think that Iran would have our hostages for 10 minutes. If they respected this country, I don't believe they would have our hostages for 10 minutes.
He hit the nail on the head right there. Nobody respected America prior to Donald Trump. We have been getting walked over by every single country. There are countries that would not exist if it were not for the support of the United States of America. Yet these are the same countries who for years have been tariffing us through the roof. Donald Trump is not in the White House to make friends with all these other world leaders. Donald Trump is in the White House to put your best interests first. He wants to put America back on top where it should be. This country has given him so much. He feels that it is his duty in order to give back to this country. Because at the rate that this country was deteriorating, we would not have a country in the future. Our Defense Department budget was less than the interest payment on our national debt. That is insane. And in regards to the military, Donald Trump wants the strongest, the biggest military all in the world. Not because he wants to go to war, because he wants peace. And the best way to have peace is to be so strong that nobody wants to mess with you. It's the same as in real life. If you see a guy on the street who is absolutely shredded, ripped to the core, you don't want to fight that guy because you know he's strong and you're going to have pain if you try fighting that guy. Whereas if somebody is skin and bones, they don't have a muscle in their entire body, people are going to mess with him. People are going to pick on him because it is easier to do so. The same goes for countries. America needs to put themselves back on top, just like they were back in the old days. The best way to preserve peace is, as Teddy Roosevelt said, speak softly and carry a big stick. Just look at what happened in Afghanistan with Joe Biden. When Joe Biden pulled his own troops out before taking out American citizens in Afghanistan and leaving $81 billion of equipment. That right there is weak, feeble leadership that would never happen under his watch. And that's why Trump is the perfect man to lead this country back into prosperity, because there is nobody else like him, and he is going to do whatever it takes to put us first. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this down below. How do you think Donald Trump would have fared as president if he was elected president at that young age right here? Let me know. I'd love to know your thoughts. And if you enjoyed, make sure to smash that like, comment, subscribe, and wish you guys nothing but the best. Till next time.
People have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not.
You've said, though, that if you did run for president, you believe you'd win.
Well, I don't know. I think I'd win. I tell you what, I wouldn't go in to lose. I've never gone in to lose in my life.
If you pick me, you're going to pick a winner.
We let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade.
I want free trade, but I want it to be like, at least we break even, right? We do something.
If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies.
Japan, they send cars by the millions. They come off those boats.
Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.